I want to welcome Joe DeJesus from Lenbrook and its family of brands, PSV, NAD, Blue Sound, and Dali, and BlueOS, to the latest CE Pro video. Joe, how you doing today?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking time out of your day to speak to me and the CE Pro audience. I want to hop right into this. Lenbrook is the parent company of the brands PSB, NAD, Blue Sound, BlueOS, and the distributor for Dali in the US. Can you briefly explain Lenbrook's history and how these brands came about?
Certainly. Lenbrook, well, the Lenbrook group of companies started off over 40 years ago, initially as a national, wholesale distributor of electronics and electronic products. And then, certainly moving throughout the years and growing and evolving to the point where we are now the owner and manufacturer of NAD and PSB, as you know it, as well as we developed BlueOS or BlueOS from the ground up. And on the distribution side, we're actually a global distributor of several products. So it's a company that little by little has evolved and prospered to the point where it now has control over the brands that it distributes from the manufacturing side, as well as a much greater global reach. As far as when NAD and PSB came into our fold, we were just very fortunate in our early years to develop really good relationships with both brands, and those brands certainly do have certain characteristics. In many respects, they're quite similar in their approach, and I think that was part of one of the great appeals for Lenbrook. That given the opportunity, we were able to bring them into our fold and keep developing them and moving them throughout the world as need be.
Okay, can you explain what role the respective brands have within the consumer audio or AV industry, and how do they serve the market?
Well, I mean, if you go back, take NAD for example. NAD is an interesting product because it didn't really develop the way a lot of other manufacturers develop product. It wasn't, something that was created from its initial inception at the head office or at the manufacturing level, and then sold out to a retailer, establishing distribution. It was actually done the other way around. It was actually a group of, or a body of retailers that got together, European retailers that got together and decided what they, in essence, needed. What they were looking for from the standpoint of sources and amplification and the sort, and as a result, created products for themselves. They were very fortunate to tie into some incredible engineering in the early years of NAD, but it was a very task-oriented thing because the retailers knew exactly what they wanted, and they went out and sought it at different price points and in different categories. Fundamentally, what you get with an NAD is a kind of minimalist, giving people the best possible audio within the different price points, and stripping away the bells and whistles and a lot of the pretense that unfortunately is rampant throughout a lot of our industry. So you kind of get this no nonsense, very performance oriented product that punches well above its weight as far as dollars to performance. PSB is also very interesting because obviously the creation of Paul Barton, a phenomenal engineer who's now going on to almost 50 years of creating product, a gentleman who has an incredible ear from the fact that he was a concert violinist, but also balanced that with an incredible scientific and research background at the National Research Council. The product is very well balanced in that it is created with some very steadfast beliefs about how a product should behave and how it should sound. And that's something that throughout the years we've tried to keep as close to the initial pedigree that was established by both brands, by NAD and PSB. BlueOS is an interesting aspect because that was something that was created completely and utterly in-house. It was, in essence, the belief that as we look through the entire chain of audio performance, from the source material right out to the speaker, it's very often said within our industry that the overall performance is only as good as the weakest link in the chain. And there was the belief as things started to become more file driven, whether it be streaming or just the ability to dump 300 songs onto a phone, that there was this fundamental belief that something could either be convenient or it could sound really, really good. And that was never the belief. We had some very intelligent people within our organization, both from the NAD and the PSB side, that believed that they could create a streaming platform that gave us all the convenience that we're presently able to get in the market, but with a very highly refined level of performance. And that's probably one of the things that we're most proud of, because it was completely and utterly worked on within the walls of our company.
Okay, I want to focus a bit on custom install. How do the respective brands serve the custom install market?
Well, again, going back to what our beliefs are, at least, is that we certainly want to remain as true as we possibly can to the pedigrees of NAD and PSB. So I think what we bring to the forefront of the market is the fact that we have product that over 40 plus years for both brands has established itself as a very performance driven product. There's certainly a lot of companies out there that are strictly, their development and their reason for existence has been strictly within the CI world. We come with a pedigree of knowing the fact that we have been perceived by the market as something that sounds good. Those core competencies will fundamentally always remain the same. NAD will always sound like NAD, and PSB likewise. The thing that we're doing within the CI space is bringing that level or that caliber of performance, but adding the design criteria and the feature set that is necessary to the CI world. And that means bringing the product into an area which it was not originally designed for, but there's certainly no reason why it can't. And over the years, that's been our focus, and we're making very concerted efforts, in essence, to create product that lives very well within the rack space that a CI system designer, project manager, and installer can certainly relate to. It has what they need in order to do their job, but at the end of the day, they're buying an NAD product and they're buying a PSB product.
Elaborating or maybe following up on that question, what are some of the training services in terms of installation, sales, and other initiatives that Lenbrook offer to help dealers successfully grow their businesses with the family of brands?
Certainly. Well, as you know, the demands of the retail space as far as product information is radically different than what you have within the CI world. Certainly the project manager, the system designer, the installer are looking at information that they need at their fingertips, which is not necessarily something that on the retail space is as demanding. And it could be anything from being able to pull down a CAD file of a product to RS-232 codes. That's just the very basic kind of day one stuff that we've certainly brought to bear. Which again, from our beginnings in retail, that was never a demand. From the training aspect, it's actually something that we've had for quite a while, which is something as simple as what we call BlueOS Bootcamp, where we bring people into our facilities and get them trained up basically from A to Z on BlueOS, which is one of the things that people gravitate to the most, the CI companies gravitate to get them completely boned up on what they can expect from the product, showing them the envelope of what it's capable of, and getting them to the point where they can, certainly spec it and deploy it in the field as best as possible. Overall, it's kind of, when it comes to training, a lot of it is that kind of investigative or discovery meeting that you have with a client to figure out exactly where they are, what they lean on to create their system designs, and see where we fit in, and giving them the very, very specific tools. So a lot of it is much more acute than a generalized training. Although, like I said, BlueOS Bootcamp is something that's been in existence for quite a long time, and really assisted people in getting them to the point where they're very comfortable deploying the product.
Since you brought up BlueOS, can you elaborate on what BlueOS is and the licensing agreements that Lenbrook has formed with Dolly, Monitor Audio, and Roxanne? Am I saying that right?
Roxanne, I
Other
believe.
Roxanne, those brands. Can you explain what it is and what those agreements entail?
Certainly. BlueOS, in essence, is a means by which we've designed. Think of it fundamentally as an operating system almost, but a means by which we can stream high-resolution audio, wired or wireless. Obviously, on the CI world, wired as much as possible, but it was something that we created internally to manage content, whether it be somebody's existing library or streaming high resolution or any sort of content that is available. And that is something that, as we've moved forward and been able to demonstrate that we certainly can move content effectively and demonstrate that it is truly high resolution and can really be the game changer as people put together their systems. It's been something that a lot of manufacturers have deemed worthy. Certainly when you're looking at Monitor Audio, a very reputable electronics company, when you have product that's at a certain level, what you really look for is that kind of litmus test or that ability to demonstrate how good you are. And the source material is key. And that's certainly what we bring to the table, whether it be Dolly or Monitor Audio or Roxanne, as well as many of the other companies that we're in conversations with. So BlueOS, or the operating system, in essence, that we created for streaming high resolution, is something that these companies are adopting in order to be able to champion the pedigree or the performance aspect of their products. That's something that we see growing. We've certainly been approached by a considerable number of companies as being able to say, look, now we actually have a platform by which we can actually demonstrate how good our product is.
Okay, and to confirm, it is a wireless audio platform that supports high-res audio and integration into third-party control systems.
Certainly. I mean, it's certainly there as a wired or wireless platform. Yes, we can certainly do it wirelessly. Obviously, it's dependent on the customer's network, and certainly in the CI world, people gravitate to it being wired. But it is a platform that works within a group of electronics. Right now, I think there's about 42 different pieces of electronics that to which BlueOS can be introduced to, and that list is growing. And it's something that can work within the integration or the major integration systems that are available on the market right now. Certainly Crestron, Control4, Elan, URC, and the list goes on. So KNX in Europe. So it can live within those environments and deliver high resolution audio to whatever audio system is created within that integration.